Now, while visualization and content might be the pretty end of GIS, the hard-working end is spatial analysis. It's what many of us kind of got into this field for, to start to understand the data. And we continue to advance spatial analysis in a number of different ways. We've advanced desktop with statistical clustering and some anomaly detection tools, but also increased support for scientific data formats. So increasingly pulling in some of the HDF and other model outputs that the scientific data community is using. And as part of that work, we've also integrated other analysis tools. So you can link in and use SciPy and R and Pandas directly within your analysis. And even build your own custom raster analysis functions that operate on the fly. But an interesting area for many of us is how do we take some of this traditional analysis and move it into the web? So now, directly from the web browser, you can do much of your basic GIS between overlays and buffer, but also some more advanced stuff like location and allocation, aggregation, mode-specific routing, and integrating analysis tools for data analysis and exploration, and charting, and interpolation, and hotspot. What you'll see is increased focus for us on making analysis easier and more robust over time. One of those areas for us is a new application that we're working on called Insights. The idea is to transform the understanding of your information with interactive analysis. This new app provides a new paradigm for working with your data. Highly visual, intuitive, responsive, providing dynamic, fast access to your information so you can start to understand how your data reacts to each other, what you can bring together with linked and responsive charts and maps, but it's spatial and tabular analysis directly integrated. Now, it's important that this extends and complements what you do already, but provides a new way to get at some of these data insights. But again, rather than just talk about this, I've asked Art and Linda up to talk a little bit about what is Insights and show it us. Art?
Thanks, Damien. Insights is a new experience that we're adding to ArcGIS that enables exploratory and interactive spatial analysis with your data, using a very fast, easy to use, and intuitive environment. With Insights, we're introducing the concept of workbooks, pages, and cards. And on each page of your workbook, we work directly with the data. In this case, we have 40 years of well data for the state of California. Not just working with the layer, we actually work directly with the data and the fields. Bringing the data in, we identify the type of data and its role that it plays within the data. But this can easily be changed. Data itself can be visualized in maps, charts, as well as tables. And the maps will update itself directly based on the data it's being analyzed. For instance, in this case, I want to see everything by well type. And then using the legend, I can directly interact with the data. In this case, I have over 20,000 wells that I'm working with, and each well type has a specific number that I can then work directly with and visualize. The cards themselves also provide a level of data interactivity. In this case, we can definitely see District 4 has the largest number of assets among all the districts. But if I drill down into the well status, I can definitely see that there are 2 districts that have the largest amount of new wells, not just District 4. To compare the data over time, all I need to do is find my date field and drag that onto the canvas. And this will actually create a line graph. I can further drill into the well status again to see the temporal pattern of my data. And because of the interactivity between the cards, I can start seeing the spatial pattern over time. However, with this amount of data, perhaps changing the map style will make those patterns a little more recognizable. Data can be added to any page in your workbook. And connecting to this data, I can work with any data within my ArcGIS organization. databases throughout your organization, as well as big data, and more importantly, Excel workbooks. I can directly work with workbooks, not just CSV files, and bring those in. In this case, I have a table that represents the percentage change over the last 2 years of my well data in terms of days production produced. Bringing that data directly in, I can now start working with it. For instance, calculating new fields like the gas and oil ratios, or directly working with the table data itself, like any other data that's been in ArcGIS. In this case, I have my bar chart. I can definitely see the different percentage change with District 3. But if I filter this data down a little bit more and focus in on a couple of districts that are lower, I can definitely see that District 1 has the largest amount of percentage change, a negative change between 2014 and 15. One more thing I'd like to do here is actually see the amount of wells per lease. And to do that, I'm simply going to drag the wells directly onto the leases and run it. What this will do is provide a level of spatial aggregation between my data and show that information directly on a map from which I can interact with. Now we have a broad understanding of the pattern of production and can now dive into some more local analysis so that we can really explore whether we have good performance or we need to diversify our assets. And to do that, I'm going to turn it over to Linda.
Analysis is very much a part of the experience. And your data format determines the on-the-fly analysis that can be done. You've just seen how drag and dropping gives us new drop zones, but also we have an action button that you can do analysis directly with. If I drag the production across to my lease units, you'll see that it aggregates it, but I can also calculate additional statistics. So I can calculate the total amount of oil, gas, or days in producing. Throughout the whole experience, statistics are reported so that we can see the information in context, and we can turn these visualizations into answers. Now I can quickly see where the values is higher than the mean, lower than the minimum and maximum values that we have. On the back of the card, we see the summary statistics for the whole data set. Results that we have from our spatial analysis can be directly interrogated. I can create a scatter plot from the number of days producing and the amount of oil to see if, in fact, there are changes over time. We see that there is a strong positive relationship shown by the R-squared, but it's far from perfect. So that shows us that, indeed, the amount of oil being produced varies enormously over the amount of days being produced. I could then interrogate that by different operators, or I could look at it by lease unit, or even by county, to have a look at the different spatial patterns that we see within that data. And you'll see that it's immediately updated. So to calculate the gas-oil ratio, we've already seen how we can do that directly within the fields on the table of data. And having done that, I can now map that data with my time to see that pattern over time, over the last 40 years worth of data that we have, showing either the average or the sum. I can also map that, or by changing the type, I can change that to a ratio, which is indeed what we have, drag that onto my map, and now you'll see that's displayed as a choropleth. If I want to zoom into my data a little bit more, so up till now, we've actually been looking at the whole data set for California. What if I want to look at a subset of that data? What I want to do is pick the assets that fall within a particular area that I'm interested. So we've already heard about district number 1 showing a big decline. So let's have a look at that district. So what I'm going to do is I want to pick up my districts, and I am going to literally drag that into where I have my assets, and I'm going to filter by that selected feature. Pretty cool. So we just take exactly what we want and put it on the map, and that selects that area. Doing your analysis as insights is really about exploring your data. So it's a very forgiving environment. Anything you do can be redone and undone easily. So I can go back any number of steps I want or go forward. Now I'm working with a subset of that data. I can look at the gas-oil ratio for just this subset, and you'll see how the pattern is significantly different. The visualizations on all the cards can be changed. So I can change from my map to a bar graph, to a column chart, even a pie chart, and of course, back to a map if that's what I want. Doing spatial analysis in Insights really harnesses the power of GIS, but it uses a friendly user interface. But before we go, there's one more important feature I'd like to share with you. Throughout this whole analysis, everything I've done has been captured. So my whole workflow has been documented. I've created a model that I can share with everyone else as a template. They can rerun that analysis using their own data. If you want to learn more about Insights, we're going to be doing a demo theater at 12:45 tomorrow down in the exhibit hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you saw that Insights allows you to start thinking about your data and your analysis a little differently. To start looking at how you can leverage this interactive tools to start to peel back your information and understand it easier.